What up, IDS Mob? It's your dating coach, HarryWilmington here, and we are back with another jam-packed show. First off, we're going to be hearing from the late, great Kevin Samuels, where he talks about the importance of men taking responsibility for the women that they're choosing. We're also going to be talking about this one question you need to always ask yourself, so that way you will never be confused by women's motives ever again. And then lastly, we're going to be reading a comment from a woman who agreed with a sentiment on one of my previous shows talking about texting, as well as from a woman who disagreed with that sentiment and which one is right, and if so, why. All this and more on today's new episode of Harry Dating Conversations. So one of the things I talk about on this show a lot is the importance of you as a guy taking responsibility for your actions and the things that you're doing when you're trying to attract women. Because we could try to blame women for stuff all day, but at the end of the day, who you're going after is your choice, and the consequences from that are also things that you're agreeing to take on when you choose certain women. And so I found a great clip from the late, great Kevin Samuels that talks all about this. So let's go ahead and watch that clip.
I always wanted to be the guy married with the family, but I married twice. But I always put the failure of my marriage back on me because I wasn't the leader I needed to be.
Now notice what he said right there. He said that he himself understands that part of the reason his marriages failed was because of what he was doing. He wasn't being the leader he needed to be. Therefore, he wasn't making them feel secure enough in being able to keep attraction to him, and it didn't work out. And I respect that, because so many guys will be like, well, we got divorced and it's all her fault, and she did all the things, and nobody wants to take self-blame. In all the relationships I've been in, even if I was the one that broke it off, I would still look at, but part of the reason it didn't work out in the end was because I recognized I was bringing things to the table that wasn't healthy, wasn't helping the dynamic. Maybe I needed to do better communication or, be more truthful about things. Like, I'm always willing to take self-responsibility, because just blaming it on the other person doesn't allow you to grow, and it could cause you to miss out on things that you're doing that are legitimately causing harm to a relationship with women in general. So you always want to be mindful of that. Like, yes, the other person could have been the most horrible person, but at the end of the day, you chose them. So you got to take some of the responsibility, even for making the choice to date them in spite of red flags they may have been showing.
That's the problem that we have with most of the women that look.
No.
Woman I love, black woman.
No. Now this is on you. I'm not gonna let you put the problem on women. The problem is you picking tigers, or you should be looking for lions.
See that? You said you're picking, I think you said tigers. Yeah. Why you should be looking for lions. Like, he's saying, hey, because, men have this narrative today, especially on the internet, where people are like, oh, all black women are this and they're sucking. All women in general are just bad because X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, at the end of the day, you as a guy, you go out into the world, you see a variety of women that you want to choose from. And admittedly, some women you're going to look at and realize they're easier to get with than others. But some are just like, well, yeah, they have some toxic traits, and yeah, they had trauma, and yeah, they treated their exes like this, but you know what? They're not gonna treat me that way. I'm gonna change them. So then when you get in there, you get all mad at them because they're acting in the way that they technically already showed you. Like, the number of guys that get into relationships with women, for example, that have told them on dates, oh yeah, I snapped at this person one time, or I argued with my ex and I had to tell him off this and that. They don't ever think that it's gonna be them until it becomes them. And then they're like, oh my God, I'm so surprised. Why won't she just? But she told you about stories and stuff that she did in her past dating life that would tell you this is probably the person you're going to get. So at that point, you can be mad at all women, but really it is you're going out there and hearing women say things that are negative about themselves, and you're still choosing to date them. At that point, you can be mad at them all day, but you have a significant part in playing into the girls that you're deciding to get with.
No, you can't do that. I can't allow you to make, I'll call it down the middle. You're going to say that's the problem because black women are this. No, the black women you pick. See, the thing is, you're going to have to compromise on what it is you think you want.
And here's the thing too, is that guys will say, but all women are like this. Therefore, I have no choice but to choose from negative. I'm telling you, I try to express to you guys, there are women out there legitimately that aren't from toxic environments, or if they are, they've done the work through therapy, through talking, through practice to be able to remove the reactions. Like, hey, we could argue, for example, my mom grew up in a toxic environment. Her mom was always talking down negatively to them and eventually divorced their dad to chase after some other guy that was also in another relationship. And yeah, like all of my moms sitting across the board have some level of trauma because they were talked down negatively from their mom. But my mom was like, I don't want my kids to go through that, so I'm gonna do the opposite. So she was able to see, I grew up in a negative environment, don't let this be the thing that causes you to also be toxic to your kids. Like, you have to have the self-awareness of that. So that's why it's important that, again, you need to be making sure that you're looking for women that are more level-headed and even keel. And most of you guys are thinking, because you're thinking those kind of women don't exist, you're thinking the solution is to just pick from the toxic of women and hope that they're not as toxic as other women out there. This is not the way you should be dating. But if you've had limited exposure to women out there, then you're gonna only be thinking that only toxic women exist. If you're only watching YouTube videos where they're only talking about toxic women or only bringing toxic women on, you're gonna have a negative perception that all women out there are not only toxic, but want to be toxic. Spoiler, most women out there aren't trying to be toxic, and or if you think they are, it may be very well they're operating in a mode that you're not used to. But again, you can definitely tell, like, women that are argumentative, that are highly in their masculine energy, that are constantly trying to blame you for things, like, because they will show themselves to you. Which is why if you wait 2 to 3 months before you fall in love with them and keep your eyes open, you'll be able to see these behaviors and say, maybe this isn't the girl I should be picking.
Because the mindset don't match with the outcome. She might not look, she may not have stripes. She might not be orange. Lions look different than tigers. You are the person I said at the beginning, trying to make a liger. Make a lion. Or continue to be frustrated.
And that's what I just try to stress to you guys. You guys come in here talking about, Harry, you're trying to simp up to women because you're saying that there are good ones out there, but they're really not. Like, you can, if you're gonna, I said on a previous show, if you're gonna be mad at women and try to chase them, you're not gonna get good results because you're gonna be thinking all women suck. And then your bias is gonna go out there and you're gonna date women. They're gonna do 1 or 2 mishaps, like, oh, they might not call you the next day or whatever, or respond back right away. See, women are toxic, this is proof, she's just playing games, oh my God. But you, again, you gotta learn how women operate and how they function, but also you need to start taking self-responsibility for the way that you are showing up and for the women that you are choosing, because it's not all women. As I've said before, if you date like 1 or 2 women and it doesn't work out, you could say, okay, those women are crazy. If you date 9 or 10 women and they all started off with a high interest and then they leave you, it means that you are doing something wrong. But also to that point, if you're dating 9 or 10 women and all 9 or 10 women are toxic, that also means that you have a problem going on in your head that's drawing you to these toxic women, and or you're not knowing how to show up in a good way to women that wouldn't be toxic. And so that relegates you back to only getting toxic women. This is ultimately all under your control, which is why I say, guys, you could sit here and look at these videos all day and blame women and say they're all horrible, but that doesn't get you women. What gets you women and get you women that are not toxic is A, learning the ins and outs of how dating and attraction work, and then also being aware of when women are starting to display toxic patterns. Like I said, women can try to fool you for the first couple of weeks, but if you're patient and you're diligent and you're asking the right questions of women, they will start to tell themselves. They'll tell you about that ex that was the crazy ex, but that she was also starting fights with, or about her crazy family that she also does toxic things to, or like various actions she's done in the past that caused her to like end up in jail or get suspended from school, or a wide variety of things, or especially like the ones that are like on drugs. I don't know how guys will hear women say, oh yeah, I smoked this, or I've done these drugs before, and then think that she's gonna be a non-toxic partner. But again, because we're thinking we don't have enough women available to us and we're kind of horny and we want sex and we're just like, well, I can just hook up with this girl. And that's the lie too. Don't fall for the lie that you can just hook up with a girl and not have feelings for her. Because you'll see a woman that's like, oh, well, she's toxic and I don't want to be in a relationship with her because she has X number of bodies and she has all this trauma in her past, but she'll be good for a few hookups and then I'll just throw her to the side. Because I'll just speak from personal experience, trying to do that, what I found usually happens is you hook up a couple of times, it feels really good, and now, because the hookup was great, you're now trying to backpedal and give excuses to your brain as to why she'd actually maybe make a good partner because these hookups are so good. But a good hookup doesn't mean she's going to be a good partner. It just means she's really good in the sack. But if she has toxic personality traits, that does not go away just because the sex is good. And you can't make her into a better person in the hopes of being able to continue on with that hookup. So you got to really be mindful and diligent of all this stuff, guys, when you're out there in the world. But yeah, kudos to Kevin for calling guys out about, oh, all women are blah, 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 blah. It's like, no. The ones that you are choosing, the ones that are in front of your face, the ones that you're attracted to, are the ones that are toxic. And if you're not attracted to non-toxic women, you need to seriously analyze that, figure out why that is, and then start getting your brain on the path towards actually going after women that would ultimately be good partners and be good choices overall and not bring a lot of toxicity to your life. And as always, guys, if you need help with trying to figure out how to do that, how to modify your mindset, how to get out of this toxic dating pattern, I would love to help you. You can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com and sign up for coaching or any one of my products or eBooks that are designed to help you figure out this dating life while still getting your alone time. So check those things out at the website today. So let's talk about the one question that you need to ask yourself whenever you're dealing with a woman that's going to cause you to never be confused by them again. As I've mentioned the guy, Doc Lowe, on this show several times. He was basically like an online mentor. Like, he was a guy that put out a lot of great dating advice and strategies and stuff. And a lot of the things that dating coaches are talking about today, like interest levels and kitty cats competing and all these other various like phrases that you hear today, he's the one that came up with that stuff back in the early 2000s, all right? And so one of the things that he said that really, really helped me in my dating life was the following phrase: high interest level cuts everything. And what he meant by that was that when a woman has a very high interest level, then there's gonna be no miscommunication, there's gonna be no mixed signals, there's not gonna be anything that's gonna cause you to think, does she like me or not? I can't tell. Because women that have a high interest, they cannot help but do things that are going to assure you that she actually likes you. And so many guys get confused by this because they're trying to look at a woman and say, well, I can't tell if this action means this, or she was showing like him this way, but then this other thing happened and I can't tell. And so I just started to ask this one simple question, which is this, is that how would a woman with high interest respond to the things I'm saying or doing? And as I started to ask that question with every single woman that I dated, it became very easy to spot the women that had a high interest and the women that were just kind of wishy-washy, which ultimately leads towards them having low interest or no interest. So I'm gonna read a few examples of things I found on Reddit whereby guys are confused about if a woman's interested or not and how they should be able to better read the situation, okay? So here's the first one. This guy he posted up a thing on Reddit, and the title says, Chipotle girl who gave me her number but keeps flaking on the date. So here's a text exchange. He had a date set up, and then he texted her, is 7:30 okay for you? And then she said, okay, perfect. Yeah, that works for me. Then the next text, he says, hey, just confirming we're still on for this evening. And by the way, guys, I stress to you, you should not be calling women or texting women to confirm dates. You should just set the date, set everything that's gonna be happening for it when you're setting it up, and say, great, I'll see you tomorrow at 7:30 at this place. Look forward to it. And you just show up. Now, some of you might think, but what if she flakes? Exactly. If she flakes, then you know she's no longer interested and you just stop texting her. But I think as a guy, you need to be able to actually feel that, because it's one thing to be like, you text her later to see if it's on and she cancels. It's like, okay, well, she still wanted to see me, but your body actually feeling and going through the motion of a woman not showing up will let your brain get a lot faster. Oh, so I just show up for the date and she doesn't have the courtesy at all to even show up or to text me that she's not gonna show up at all. Like, clearly she has no respect for me, therefore she has no interest. And it'll be a lot easier for you to get out of your head any kind of woman that you think might have an interest by feeling her not show up. But again, in my dating life, I found when I just set the date and then just show up, one or two things happen. Either she just shows up or she texts me beforehand to say, hey, just wanna make sure our date's still on, because that lets me know that they are not gonna cancel on me because they are texting me to make sure that I'm showing up. The one that planned the date and is paying for it, yeah, I'm still showing up. But anyway, so he texted her, just confirming we're still on for this evening, and his response is, my family actually made a surprise visit to my house. I know it's super last minute, but would you be okay if we did it next week instead? And then his response is, hey, I totally understand. Also, here we go. Also, I know it's probably anxiety inducing to meet a random dude you just saw for like 2 minutes, but know that I genuinely want to get to know you more. You seem nice. I can be free this weekend and most evenings after 6 p.m. Let me know what's a good day. So there's a lot to unpack with that, which is basically like him having the whole thing, him projecting onto her, like, you're probably feeling a lot of anxiety, which is why you're probably canceling me, but I'm totally cool. Like, that's only adding more nervous energy, and that's not gonna actually help his cause. If anything, it's gonna make her realize how desperate he is, on top of the whole, like, I'm free this weekend and free like all the time. And I've said before, guys, you don't wanna give a girl the impression that you're always readily available. You'd be better as a strategy to say to a woman, hey, well, I know you can't make the date today. I have a couple of days next week. I'm free Tuesday and Thursday after 6. Let me know if those particular days work for you. Because that lets her know you're specifying time that you're available because you're probably not available other times, which women need to feel. Women like the idea that the guys they're after are making time for them, not giving all their time to them. And so this is a crappy message that he sent overall that's not gonna help him. But the title of this post was, She Keeps on Flaking, which means that she's done this more than one time. So, he's confused as to what to do and what this means. But let's ask the question I put forth, right? How would a woman with high interest respond? So, if you ask a woman out on a date with high interest, how would she respond? Would she try to flake on the date, or would she try to show up for the date? If her family happened to show up, would she be able to say, hey guys, I'm glad to see you, but you know what? I already have a date scheduled for tonight, so I can go see him for like an hour and come back, but I definitely got to make this date because this guy could be the guy of my dreams that I end up marrying someday. Or will she say, oh, my family's in town. Oh, I can't see him. So when you start asking the how would a woman with high interest respond question, you'll start to realize that what she's giving you is BS. Because how would a woman with high interest respond to you asking her for a date? Would she show up for the date on time? Or would she keep flaking and then consistently be flaking time and time again? Is a woman flaking on you showing high interest? These are the questions that you as a guy have to start asking yourself, because your ego is going to get in the way if you don't ask the question. Your ego is going to be thinking, okay, but maybe she has something to be busy because I'm such a nice guy. Of course she'd want to date me. It's just that this other circumstance came up. But if you ask the question, how would a woman respond with high interest, you'll start to see that, oh, wait, a woman with high interest would show up. A woman with high interest a woman with high interest in this situation would be like, I see my family all the time and I can see them again after this. And even if they're in town now, I can go back to the town that I'm from and see them at any other time that I want to, but this guy's not gonna always be available. But women that have low interest have no problem pushing you to the wayside. So let's go to another situation. Now this is a situation that a woman posted, right? So the post is, my boyfriend, 29, wants me, 26, to wear a bra around the apartment because of my male roommate. So she says, I've lived with my sister and her fiance for a couple of years now, and at first, I always wore a bra outside of my room. But as I got more comfortable, I started wearing one less often. My boyfriend, who's practically moved in now, and I of almost 2 years, have gotten into disagreement/fights about it because he says me walking around with no bra on with another man in the house makes him feel not secure. My sister sometimes walks around with no bra, and I just feel like it's unfair for her to be able to do it, and I can't considering bras are uncomfortable. Should I wear a bra or hoodie to make him feel more comfortable? Ladies, I would love to hear what you would do in my situation, or if there are any men, what are your opinions? So, I'll save you what was said in the comments by women, but a lot of women these will comment basically saying, well, it's your body, your choice, and if he's feeling insecure about it, then blah, blah, blah. And this goes into women don't understand that amongst men, even if her sister, even if the fiance is with her sister, she's thinking, and because of that, he would never look at me in a sexual way. I'm gonna give you a spoiler, women. If we see boobies on anybody, we're thinking about you in a sexual way. Even if we don't act on it, that's still happening. And other guys know this. So her boyfriend's in the complete right to be like, yeah, like what the freak you were doing, not wearing a bra around another dude. Like if you're living with him, you feel comfortable, walk around your room without a top on, but that would be like me walking around your sister with my underwear down. Like that is not something you should be doing. But let's not even get to her. Let's ask the question, right? If this woman had high interest in her boyfriend, how would she respond if she had high interest when he said, hey, babe, you're walking around without a bra and your titties are popping over the place and there's another dude here, what are you doing? Well, the response, one, it shouldn't even be a question you have to ask. And I say this because as a guy, I have dated women who have been very attractive and have been curvaceous and have, stuff popping all over the place. And when they go out with me in public, they're wearing shirts where their cleavage isn't showing. They're wearing outfits that look great and make me showing off a few things here and there in terms of like, just if you're a curvy woman, you're already going to be showing off, but they're not wearing anything that's purposely trying to like pay attention to their butt or pay attention to their boobs or stuff like that. And there'll be times where I've asked them like, hey, like I'll be joking like, hey, you would never want to like, go to like a pool party in a bikini and this and that. And their response is always like, again, me not pressing them. Their response has been, well, I'm saving that for you, or I'll dress like that around you, or I'll wear this lingerie or tight, sexy dress around you, but I don't feel the need to show that off to other people because I'm not trying to get with them, I'm trying to get with you. And that's not me pushing it. That's these women that have high interest realizing they don't want to draw other sexual attention from other guys. And most women know that most dudes are attracted to boobs and are going to be staring at them nonstop with them. So they're not even trying to put themselves out in a way where that could happen because they have high interest. So you got to ask the question, would a woman with high interest respond negatively if you said, hey babe, maybe not show off your knockers? And this is different from like, because women will say like, well, he's trying to control my body. This is different from like, if, again, he's saying put a bra on. He's not even saying like put a full shirt on. He's saying, could you just put a bra on? Like if you want to walk around with no shirt on, if you're going to do that, at least wear a bra so you're not showing the girls out. And her response is like, how dare you? I want to be able to do whatever. It's my body, this is that. Women with high interest wouldn't do that. So if you just start asking this question, how would a woman with high interest respond to the action that I'm doing, to the request that I'm making? If you find that the answer would be, oh, she'd do this. If I asked a woman out that on a date, how would she respond with high interest? Oh, she would definitely show up for the date. She definitely wouldn't flake. She definitely wouldn't come up with excuses to not see me. And some women over hear this and think, well, that's just a way to see if a woman, if you're able to control a woman or not, because, if a guy could be like, well, if she had high interest, she wouldn't talk to other dudes or she wouldn't do X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to assume that women are smarter than that and that you recognize the difference between a guy that's actually trying to be controlling and a guy that's either setting boundaries or is recognizing that a woman that has low interest would be doing certain actions. But suffice to say, guys, when you start to ask this question, it removes all confusion because you're thinking, for example, let's say you're talking to a girl and you're like, oh, she's showing me mixed signals. Well, how would a woman with high interest respond? Would she be showing you mixed signals? Or if she has high interest, would she be showing you signals that are so clear that indicate that she likes you that you would not be confused? Would women with high interest try to keep you in a confused state? And that's all I'm saying, guys. Ask this question. It'll allow you to be more honest with yourself. It'll help you bypass your ego when it's feeling things. And ultimately, it'll allow you to see the women that are truly interested versus the ones that are just allegedly, according to you, messing with your head. One of the great things about getting good at dating is that once you understand the pattern and ebb and flow of how dating actually works, it becomes very easy to date women, to meet women, to get to know them, to build their interest, and to land in relationships with them. And that's a problem that I had many years ago where I couldn't figure that out. Once I figured out a system that systematically allowed me to go from meeting women to getting into relationships, time and time again, I could get into relationships or get into the kind of hookup situation that I wanted without fail. And this is something that I would love to teach you, which you can learn if you join my program, the Introvert Dating Success Academy. It is a 12-part video series along with some great bonus materials that walk you through step-by-step tactics you can use to be able to go from saying hi to women, to approaching women at parties, or to dating them online, to get them on a date, to figuring out how to escalate properly to the bedroom and their kisses and stuff like that, all the way up to how to get it to where she wants to come to you and ask for a relationship. If you want to learn how to do that, go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, click on the products tab, check out the program. If you like what it has to offer, you can join that program today. So a woman left a comment on a video that I recently did where I was responding to a bunch of critiques that a woman had put on some of my Instagram videos and my YouTube video, basically saying I didn't know what I was talking about. And so one of the things that she mentioned was that she would love it if a guy was texting her and communicating with her every day because it would make her feel as if the guy was really into her and whatnot. And I've tried to stress to you guys that sometimes women give advice that's well-meaning, but it comes from a place of giving advice about what they wish a guy would do that they're already in a relationship with versus during the dating phase where your tactics are going to be a little bit different. And one of those tactics I talk about is not texting her all the time because it can cause burnout. It can cause her to feel like you're being there too much, which makes it comes off across as needy and desperate, right? So I had a woman that responded on that video and she said the following. She said, "He's giving sound advice, guys. After 2 months of dating, I just decided to walk away because the attraction was no longer there. One of the reasons was he would text me every day. At first it was cool, but as time went on, it killed attraction," which is what I say. "He would even text daily despite already having a date lined up in a few days." So what's she saying here? Oh, she says, "No new ground to cover during these texts. No feelings developed on my side, but I was hoping they would." So what is she saying there? She's saying that at the point where he asked for the date, she didn't need him to keep texting her, but he did, and it would cause a lull. So by the time they got on the date, there's nothing new to cover. Like, hey, let's talk about some stuff. Oh, wait, even though we had 3 days before our date, you spent 3 days texting me, and now we have nothing to talk about. And that's why I tell you guys, staying off the phone, it allows both you and her to build up experiences that you can then talk about on a date. But you trying to hit her every day, hey, so how you doing today? I did this, blah, 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 blah. Now you get on the date. She knows everything about you that you've done this past week, and you've left no mystery for her to ask about things or even feel the need to inquire because as far as she knows, you've already told her everything. So this is why when you stay off the phone and only text her to ask for the date, it allows her to miss you for one, but also it gives her time to start thinking about the kind of questions to ask you about your week when you actually get her in person. And then she says, he also told me he liked me early on in the 2 months and once messaged me at 5:30 saying, quote, "I just crossed his mind." So you guys are like, I need to text her and say, "Good morning, gorgeous," or "How you doing, beautiful," or "I was thinking about you." These are things that I tell you it's perfectly fine for a woman to do, and that women can get away with this better. They can get away with doing these emotional, flowery texts that are checking up on us and letting us know they care about us and sending the heart and winky emojis because that's feminine energy that's being put out there. So when you do these things, women that want masculine men don't want men that are displaying all this kind of feminine energy. But you trying to check up on her, you trying to text her nonstop, those are things that are indicative of you're trying to check with her that she still feels something for you. And doing that action, it indicates that you have anxiousness, that you're unsure of yourself, that you're not confident. And those are the character traits that women need to see in men to feel things for them, which is why you want them coming to you. Because if they're chasing you, they can't be replacing you. But when you're doing all these actions, you're in effect chasing her down for her feelings. And that does not make a woman feel safe and secure. It makes her feel like you're needy, that you might potentially bring harm to her, that you're desperate, that if you're checking up on her so much because you have low self-esteem about yourself, like these are all the negative things that are being projected out there when you're doing what this woman's talking about, right? So then she said, this is after him messaging me the previous day. Yeah, he's texting her every single day, and when they're not seeing each other, he's still texting her all this nonsense. And this is the stuff that causes you guys to lose. So especially for your younger guys out there, because I get a lot of younger guys writing me saying like, well, in my generation, if I don't text, blah, 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 and she's gonna feel some kind of way. And this is why I stress, and I'm gonna stress this in the next message that I read, which is that just because you do something that makes a woman feel good or that she likes it, it doesn't mean that it helps to build attraction, which we'll get into in a second. But anyway, she says he would also talk about a particular business issue he was facing at the time. Turn me off all the way. This is why I tell you guys, you cannot bring your problems to women, especially in the dating phase. Women like the idea that if you come across a problem, you're already researching it, looking into it, and figuring out how to solve it. You complain to them, that is an action that women do. Women go to their guy to complain to just get off their chest so they feel better, but they don't want to feel that from you. Even women that you're in a relationship with long term, if you go to her and say, hey, I got a situation I'm going through, they want to be able to hear, but also I've already got it controlled and handled and I'm looking into how to fix it, right? So you can't be the guy that goes to her like, I have an issue and I want to whine about it. Whining is not a masculine trait. Anyway, she says, found this guy on YouTube and he confirms everything that I was feeling in that short 2 months. Now I've stopped taking his calls. I feel like a weight has been lifted, a dead weight. So that should help you guys out in terms of what she's talking about, right? Now, to be fair, there was another woman on here that responded to a texting video that I did where she disagrees with me. And she says, quote, not sure where you get these rules about texting and what kind of girls you're targeting. Personally, as a woman, I absolutely love a man that texts me after a first date. It shows he's serious and well-mannered. I don't like boys, but 2 weeks, LOL, he's out of the game. Well, so she's misconstruing what I said in that video. What I said in that video was that I said at the point where I started waiting 3 or 4 days after dates to text women, I found that I usually got more dates and I got better results from women overall. But what I said was that there have even been times where I waited 2 weeks to text a girl for another date and she still went out. And those are times where, for example, say we went on a date and then I had to go out of town for 2 weeks, right? Like I had to go to see my family, I had to go see my friends, I had something else I was handling, and then I realized when I got back, okay, now that I'm back, I can continue conversation. Or there was one time where I went on a date with first date with a girl, and then I told her on the day, I said, hey, I'm gonna be going on this cruise for like a week and a half because I gotta go film a cruise. And so, because I'm in California, the cruise was in Florida, and we were gonna be going over into the sea where the boat didn't have good Wi-Fi, and I probably wouldn't get a signal until either I got back to Florida or until maybe one of the islands we landed on would happen to have good reception. But back then, also, trying to text and call people when you're not in the same city costs you a lot of money. So I was like, you may not hear from me for like a week and a half. Like I may just be out, so don't assume I've ghosted you. I'm doing other stuff, right? And so to the point, I was gone for like 8 or 9 days. I get back, hey, let's go out again. She's like, okay, fantastic, great. And we ended up dating for like 10 or 12 months. So the point is this, is that I say these stories because I want to stress to you guys that are trying to text all the time that a woman that has a good head on her shoulders, she's not going to mind, let's put it this way. It's not that she won't necessarily mind that you waited, but all she's looking for is he going to call me or text me to get another date? That's it. And to be honest, because most women have the experience of having multiple guys that are probably coming after them, they're used to going out on dates with multiple people, which means that if she goes on a date with you on like Monday, right? She might have a date on Tuesday, another date on Thursday, a date on Saturday, and then come Sunday night, she's ready to see you again, right? So she's already thinking realistically that she, of her own accord, is probably gonna be seeing other people and be busy to where if you happen to not reach out to her within a week, well, that's understandable because in her head, you probably have prospects too. Now we know you probably don't have as many prospects as her, but because she's feeling that, most women with a good head on their shoulders are not gonna be completely butthurt if you don't reach out like the next day or the day after that to get a second date. And that's the point, is that part of the reason you're waiting to text these women is to see if they are the kind of women that have a good head on their shoulders and are going to not suss you, call you out or like be mad at you for happening to wait an extra few days to contact her for another date. Because the end result she wants is, am I getting another date? I've had women where like, I went on a date with them, waited 7, 8, or 9 days to text them, which by the way, the late great Doc Love was saying, hey, don't reach out to women for like 8 to 9 days after that first date. I cut that in half because even me, I was like, I'm too anxious to do that. Whatever. So I cut it down to like 4 or 5 days, and I found that still worked great for me. But even then, dudes will be thinking, and this woman will convince you, if you don't text the next day or this and that, I'm gonna be butthurt. I can assure you, if we go back to the question I asked earlier, how would a woman with high interest respond if you just happen to wait 4 or 5 days to ask her out on a date? Would she yell at you, curse at you, and say, how dare you? Or would she just be like, I'm so happy you hit me up. Yes, I'd love another date. So you want to do this in part to find women that have a good head on their shoulders, that also have an even temper and are emotionally stable. Because women that are not emotionally stable, women that have low self-esteem, women that are all about getting attention, will get butthurt if you don't reach out to them for a week or two. But the women that have a better head on their shoulders and that understand how the dating game goes, she might just be thinking, you know what? He's probably dating other women. I got competition. No harm, no foul. I'll just show him the reason why he needs to contact me more. And then she'll continue to show you a great time. But don't fall for this lie that she's telling, because I assure you, if it was a guy that she was highly interested in, that say he was a guy that was really, really rich and famous and had like a bunch of money, and he happened to have to go out of town for a week and a half and couldn't reach out to her for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, but she had a high interest, when he got back and said, hey, I've been busy, I was out of town, didn't have my phone, yada, 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 but hey, had a good time on that first date we had, love to see you again. I can assure you her response would be, oh my God, that's so great, let's go out. And then she'd be on the date trying to convince him why he needs to contact her more, okay? But that's the thing, is that this is an example of a woman giving an example of how she would react in a situation where there's no concrete person that's actually there. So it'd be different, like right now she's talking about a hypothetical person. If I went on a date with a hypothetical guy and hypothetically he didn't contact me for 2 weeks, blah, 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 but it's different than like, oh, if I met up with the guy that I had a long time crush on and he finally agreed to a date with me, and then waited 2 weeks, well, I already have some feeling for him, and I've been talking about him to my girlfriends, and I'm building this interest, and I'm wondering why he didn't hit me up, and I'm kind of anxious. He hit me up again. Oh my God, now that that's actually happening, we see what actually happens. So you see the difference between a woman that went through a situation where it's like, oh yeah, a guy texts me every single day and I really did like him, but oh my God, it was overbearing, versus like, I would love that to happen, but it's not from a guy that she actually has interest in, okay? So you gotta be able to, this is why I tell you guys, women are well-meaning in their advice to you, but they're doing it based on feelings, and that's why when women are giving advice initially, because they're not basing it on any particular guy in the moment that they have feelings for, it's easier for them to say one thing, but how they would actually act in the situation that they're with a guy that they like is gonna be completely different time and time again. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Harry Dating Conversations. If you want one of your questions answered on one of these shows, you can write to me at HarryWilmington@gmail.com. If you got any value out of this show, you can leave me a Cash App, like at $HarryWilmington, or you can go and check out my eBooks, audiobooks, and programs, all of which are designed to help you date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, click the bell icon to be notified for when I put up new videos, and I will catch you guys on the next episode. I'm out. Peace.